Let me ask you something. Not a question people ask out loud, but a question many men quietly wrestle with. Is masturbation good, or is it slowly taking something away from you? This isn't a video about shame. This isn't a religious lecture. And this is definitely not about pretending biology doesn't exist. This is about truth. And truth, when faced honestly, has the power to change your life. Because whether you admit it or not, this habit, small, private, repetitive, has an impact far bigger than most men realize. Not because of morality, not because of guilt, but because of control. Biology is real, but it is not your destiny. Let's get one thing clear from the start. You have a body, that body has needs, hunger, desire, sexual energy. Ignoring biology is foolish, demonizing it is dangerous. But here's the line most people never talk about. Just because something is natural does not mean it should rule your life. Animals live by biology alone: eat, sleep, mate, repeat. Humans evolved beyond that. You were given something more powerful than instinct, intelligence. And beyond intelligence, consciousness. And when biology becomes the front end of your life, when impulse decides your actions, you are not moving forward. You are moving backward. The internet problem no one wants to address. Let's talk about reality in 2026. Unlimited access. Endless stimulation. Pornography available in seconds. This generation didn't discover temptation, it was flooded with it, and the danger isn't sex itself. The danger is overstimulation without awareness. When pleasure becomes instant, repeated, effortless, the mind adapts. Dopamine dulls, motivation drops, focus weakens, not overnight, slowly, quietly, invisibly, until one day you don't feel hungry for life anymore. This is where men get confused. Most conversations stop at, is it allowed? Is it healthy? Is it normal? Those are the wrong questions. The real question is, are you choosing it, or is it choosing you? Because there's a difference between an action and a compulsion. A man who chooses has power. A man who cannot stop has surrendered it, and that's where the problem begins. Energy is not a metaphor. It is real. In ancient yogic traditions, sexual energy was never treated as dirty. It was called virya, potency. Why? Because this energy has the ability to create life. Think about that. The same force that can create another human being is something modern culture treats as disposable entertainment. Spilled, wasted, ignored. This is not about never doing it. This is about understanding what you're doing with it. Because every action in your body has a cost. And when your system repeatedly spends high levels of energy for short-term relief, something else pays the price. Your drive, your clarity, your ambition. The evolutionary trap. Animals live for survival and reproduction. That's their entire intelligence. But human intelligence was meant to go further. To build, to explore, to create meaning, to rise above impulse. When a man uses his intelligence only to satisfy biology, he is shrinking himself, reducing his potential. Not because sex is wrong, but because he's placing the smallest part of life at the center of his existence. No denial, no glorification, only awareness. Here's the balanced truth most extremes ignore. Denying sexuality leads to repression. Glorifying it leads to addiction. Awareness leads to mastery. Sexual energy is not your enemy. But if it runs your schedule, your focus, your emotions, your motivation, then you are not free. And freedom is the foundation of discipline. A simple but uncomfortable question. Ask yourself this honestly. If I decided to stop for 30 days, could I? No excuses, no bargaining, no, I'll start tomorrow. Just willpower. If that question makes you uncomfortable, that discomfort is not your enemy. It's information. This channel is about one thing, not purity, not guilt, not perfection, self-mastery. Because the man who can control small urges can control big decisions. And the man who cannot control himself in private will eventually lose control in public life. In part 2, we will talk about when masturbation crosses the line, how it quietly erodes confidence, and why so many men feel tired, unmotivated, and disconnected without knowing why. This is not about quitting life, it's about reclaiming it. Stay with me. At first, it feels harmless, private, quick, relieving. No one knows. No one gets hurt. That's how it always begins. But habits don't become dangerous because they are dramatic. They become dangerous because they are repetitive. And repetition rewires the brain. The silent shift you don't notice. Over time, something changes. You wake up a little less driven. You delay things you used to handle easily. You feel mentally foggy, unfocused, restless, not depressed, not broken, just dull. And you can't explain why. So you scroll more. You seek more stimulation. You look for faster pleasure. And without realizing it, you've trained your mind to expect reward without effort. That's not freedom. That's conditioning. Dopamine doesn't care about your goals. Your brain has one job: repeat what feels good. It doesn't care if you want to. Build a business, get stronger, become disciplined, lead a family, create a meaningful life. It only cares about reward loops, and pornography combined with masturbation creates one of the strongest loops known to the human brain. Novelty, intensity, zero effort. Each time you indulge, the brain learns this is the fastest path to relief. And everything else, work, growth, discipline, starts to feel heavier, harder, unnecessary. This is why motivation starts to die. Motivation is not willpower. Motivation is energy looking for direction. When sexual energy is constantly discharged without purpose, that energy doesn't disappear. It disperses. You feel it as laziness, procrastination, anxiety, irritability, loss of direction, and then men ask, why don't I feel like myself anymore? Because the fuel that once pushed you forward is being burned in place. Compulsion is the red line. Let's be precise. The problem is not masturbation. The problem is compulsion. Compulsion means you do it even when you said you wouldn't. You do it to escape stress, loneliness, boredom. You do it automatically, without presence. You do it and feel emptier afterward. At that point, the behavior is no longer serving you. You are serving it, and anything you serve owns you. The confidence drain no one talks about. Confidence doesn't come from pretending to be strong. It comes from keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say, I'll stop tonight, I'll control it this week, I'll do better tomorrow, and then you don't, something inside you erodes, not dramatically, quietly. Self-trust fades. And a man without self-trust becomes hesitant, passive, unsure. He doubts his ability to change because his history tells him, you don't follow through. Why modern men feel lost. Previous generations had fewer options, fewer distractions, more friction. This generation has endless stimulation, instant pleasure, zero recovery time. The nervous system never resets. There's no hunger, no tension, no drive building up. And without tension, nothing moves forward. Creation requires pressure. Growth requires restraint. Power requires containment. This is not about sex. It's about direction. Sexual energy is creative energy. When it has nowhere to go, it turns inward and becomes restlessness. When it is constantly released, it loses intensity. But when it is directed, something remarkable happens. Men become focused, calm, assertive, driven, present, not aggressive, grounded. The moment of honesty. Here's the moment that changes everything. Not guilt, not fear. Honesty. Ask yourself, am I using this habit to avoid discomfort? Am I escaping instead of confronting? Am I choosing relief over growth? If the answer is yes, then this isn't about morality. It's about potential, and wasted potential always hurts more in the long run. A man who controls nothing loses everything. Discipline doesn't start in the gym. It doesn't start with money. It doesn't start with success. It starts in private decisions, when no one is watching. Because if you can't lead yourself in silence, you won't lead anything in the world. In part 3, we will talk about what to do instead. How to regain control without repression. Redirect energy without guilt. Build discipline that lasts. And turn this struggle into strength. This is not about becoming less human. It's about becoming fully human, strong, clear, self-directed. If you've made it this far, you're not here for comfort. You're here because something inside you knows there's more to you than this cycle, more than urges, more than habits, more than excuses. And the good news is this: you don't need shame to change. You need direction. Stop fighting. Start leading. Most men fail because they try to fight desire. Fighting creates resistance. Resistance creates obsession. That's why willpower alone eventually collapses. Control doesn't come from suppression. It comes from replacement. Nature never leaves a vacuum. If you remove a behavior without giving energy a new destination, the old pattern will return stronger. So the question becomes, where does this energy go now? Turn energy into structure. Sexual energy is raw power. Untamed, it leaks. Directed, it builds. This is why disciplined men have structure. Not because they are rigid, but because structure holds energy. Start here. Wake up at the same time every day. Train your body hard 4 to 6 times a week. Reduce idle time, especially at night. Replace scrolling with movement or creation. Your body must be tired for the mind to calm down. Discipline in the body creates silence in the mind. The night rule, critical. Most relapses don't happen in the morning. They happen when you're tired, when you're alone, when your phone is within reach, when your day had no meaning. So set a rule. After a certain hour, the phone is no longer your companion. No debate, no exceptions. Weak moments don't need more thinking. They need clear boundaries. Build a higher target. You cannot overcome a low-level pleasure without a high-level mission. Men fall into addiction when their lives lack direction. Ask yourself, what am I building? Who am I becoming? What will my future demand of me? A man with a mission doesn't need motivation. He has momentum. Redefine self-control. Self-control is not white-knuckling pain. It's delaying gratification for something meaningful. Every time you pause an urge and choose effort instead, you strengthen identity. And identity shapes behavior. You stop asking, "Can I quit?" and start saying, "This is not who I am anymore." Transformation is physical first. Don't start with philosophy. Start with your body. Cold showers, long walks, heavy lifts, breath control. Why? Because discipline is learned through sensation, not ideas. When the body learns discomfort is survivable, the mind stops panicking. Drop the labels. Don't call yourself addicted, weak. Broken labels trap identity. You're not fighting a demon, you're training a system. And systems can be redesigned, one decision at a time. Relapse is data, not failure. If you slip, don't spiral. Ask, what time did it happen? What emotion triggered it? What boundary failed? Then adjust. Growth is not a straight line, it's a series of course corrections. The moment you realize your power, there will be a day, maybe weeks from now, where the urge comes and you don't obey it. Not because it disappeared, but because you changed. In that moment, something shifts. You stand taller. You speak clearer. You move with purpose. Because you just proved something to yourself. I am not owned by my impulses. This is what real masculine power looks like. Not domination, not aggression, self-governance. The ability to say no in private so you can say yes to life in public. This is how men are forged. Quietly, daily, without applause. Masturbation is not the enemy. Lack of awareness is. Lack of direction is. Lack of discipline is. You were not born to be ruled by urges. You were born to build, create, and lead. And that journey starts with one decision: to take your power back. If this message resonated with you, like this video, not for the algorithm, but to acknowledge your decision. Subscribe if you're committed to discipline, clarity, and self-mastery. And remember, your habits decide your future. Choose them like your life depends on it, because it does.